Hey everyone, is solo queue feeling impossible lately? Are you stuck in your rank and struggling to climb? Don't worry, because in today's video, I'm going to show you the top 15 heroes that are perfect for dominating your games and ranking up fast. And with the brand new rank evaluation system, it's never been easier to gain extra stars and protect yourself from losses if you play well. This means picking the right hero is more important than ever. So, if your goal is to hit your highest rank, whether you're playing solo, in a team, or even in the peak tournament, this list is for you. Alright, kicking off our list at number 15, we have the master strategist himself, Kong Ming. If you're looking to start your journey as a jungler, Kong Ming is one of the best starting points you could ask for. That's because Kong Ming is one of the best early game snowballing heroes in the game, capable of turning into an absolute killing machine. His skill set is very straightforward and easy to learn. Your main goal is to use your first and second skills to stack up your passive. When you hit an enemy 5 times, he summons 5 prisms that rotate around him and automatically attack nearby targets. His first skill is your main damage and stacking tool, and his second skill is a short dash that holds up to 2 charges. Your game plan is simple. Use your first skill from close range so that more projectiles hit the target, stacking your passive faster. Then, you use your dash to either chase or reposition, but always try to save 1 charge for emergencies in case you get caught in a bad spot. Once an enemy's health is low, you finish them off with his ultimate. And here's the cool part. If your ultimate gets the kill, its cooldown is reduced by a massive 80%. This lets you chain it almost immediately to the next target, which is what makes him so scary in teamfights. Now, Kong Ming's main weakness is his vulnerability to hard crowd control. If he gets locked down, he's an easy target. He also really depends on getting those ultimate resets, so if you miss a kill with your ult, you have to play safe until it's back up. While he's a very good jungler, let's talk about mid lane Kong Ming. We've been seeing a lot of it lately, even in the recent KWC tournament. So yeah, mid Kong Ming is definitely a thing, and it works really well. If you want a high-scaling mage with pure burst damage and great mobility, he's a fantastic choice for the mid lane. If you play your cards right, Kong Ming could easily be the first hero you get a pentakill with. So if you're looking for a high-scaling mage with burst damage, you should really give him a try. Here's a build I recommend for both jungle and mid lane Kong Ming. Moving on to number 14, we have the verdant archer herself, Consort Yu. Consort Yu has always been a great counterpick, especially against teams with high-burst physical assassins. She's your typical late-game marksman, but with some very unique and powerful features. Her first skill is a long-range poke that you can use to harass enemies from a safe distance or clear minion waves. But it's her second skill where things get really interesting. When you activate it, she gets a big boost to her attack speed and movement speed for 2 seconds. And here's the best part. During this time, she is completely immune to all physical damage. This is what makes her such a powerful and clutch pick against physical divers. Her second skill can also immune control effects, but you have to time it perfectly to get that effect. Her ultimate is a target lock skill that stuns the enemy for half a second. This is super useful for stopping a target from getting away, especially since it also applies a 2-second slow. On top of that, activating her ultimate also gives her crowd control immunity, so you can even use it defensively if you need to cleanse a CC. Now, Consort Yu is a true late-game hero, which means you need to focus on farming in the early game to become deadly. She doesn't have any dash skills, so you have to rely on your flash to escape danger. Once you have 2 or 3 items, you'll really start to notice her power spike. She relies heavily on attack speed to take full advantage of her skills. Her second skill's physical immunity is an extremely crucial part of her kit, so you have to save it for the right moment. Smart enemies will try to bait it out and then engage you instantly if you use it too early. One thing to keep in mind is that she is very vulnerable to magic damage, since her immunity only works on physical damage. You might even see enemies picking Aaron specifically to counter you. In that case, you should definitely consider buying a succubus cloak in the late game for that extra magic defense. Overall, I highly recommend Consort Yu for ranking up. With a proper support by her side, she can easily destroy enemies once she's fed enough. Here's a build that I recommend for her. Coming in at number 13 on our list is Sakir. If you're tired of playing boring, passive supports and want someone who is extremely fun while still being super effective, then you need to be playing this hero. Sakir is an amazing pick, especially if you're just getting into the roaming role. His core gameplay revolves around healing allies while simultaneously dealing damage and locking down enemies. Let's break it down. His passive lets you throw out ranged attacks that grant vision on enemies, and you can even hold the attack button to heal yourself. All of his skills also provide crucial healing to your teammates. But his first skill is the real game changer. It can knock up enemies, dealing a surprising amount of damage, but you can also use it on your allies to heal them up big time. It can stack up to 9 times, and at max stacks, its range gets bigger, so you always want to use it when it's fully charged. The amount of damage this skill deals is insane. It can literally take down half the HP of a squishy hero with a single bonk. His second skill is his main escape tool, letting you fly to the nearest bush around you. You can easily kite enemies with this skill while still dealing damage. It holds up to 3 charges, which makes him incredibly mobile and almost impossible to catch. Lastly, his ultimate summons a bush at a target location. You can tap it again to fly directly into it. This bush deals continuous magic damage to enemies, while also healing your teammates. It also grants vision, so it's a perfect tool for checking objectives or dangerous bushes from a safe distance. Overall, Sakir is an incredibly powerful support, and the utility he provides is extremely effective. You can be super aggressive right from the start of the game, and his constant healing will give your enemies a really hard time dealing with him. If you're looking for a strong support with fun, engaging mechanics, Sakir is the hero for you. You can easily get a higher rating if you play him correctly. Here's the recommended build for him. Coming in at number 12, we have the all-time classic marksman Marco Polo. This guy is so consistently strong that he's a top-tier pick in pretty much every single season. His main key strength is his passive, which lets him deal true damage to his targets. For anyone new, that's the white text damage you see on enemies, and it basically ignores all physical defense and shields. This makes him an absolute monster at shredding through even the tankiest heroes. His first skill is a straight-line barrage of shots, which you can use to clear waves or poke enemies from a distance. He has a short dash on his second skill, which is his main tool for chasing or escaping, and it has a really short cooldown, making him surprisingly mobile. But his ultimate is the real game changer, capable of wiping out an entire enemy team. He unleashes a continuous storm of bullets in a large area around him, dealing massive damage over time. A single, well-placed ultimate can completely change the tide of a battle. Although it sounds incredibly powerful, it comes with a huge drawback. Marco Polo's biggest weakness is any kind of hard CC. A single stun will instantly cancel his ultimate, leaving him completely useless and exposed. So you have to be extremely careful and patient. Make sure the enemies have used their main CC skills before you dive in. Otherwise, you'll die instantly and become a laughingstock. The room for error here is extremely low, so you have to time it perfectly. To help with this, you can take the stun battle spell to lock enemies in place. Or if the enemy team has too much CC, you absolutely need to take Purify to use during your ultimate. He's also one of the few marksmen who can build some tanky items and still deal incredible damage, giving him great survivability. And if you have a Yarya on your team, that combo is just ridiculously powerful. You'll really feel his power spike once you build his core items, Sparkforged Dagger and Doomsday. So overall, Marco Polo is a very powerful marksman who has the unique ability to dive into enemies and take them all down. If you can master the timing of his ultimate, he becomes an absolutely unstoppable force. Here's the build I recommend for him. Moving on to number 11, we have Lian Po. If you want a solid frontline tank with tons of CC and an insane diving capability, then this hero is perfect for you. Lian Po is an incredibly strong initiator who can soak up a ridiculous amount of damage. The most important part of his kit is his passive. While he's using any of his skills, he gets damage reduction and is completely immune to crowd control. This is what allows him to be so aggressive and engage in team fights without fear. When his passive bar is full, you can also heal up after exiting combat. His first skill is a straightforward dash that knocks up enemies for half a second, which you can use to engage or escape. His second skill creates a field that deals damage and gives him a shield, which you can use to absorb key abilities. Now, here's the combo that makes him so annoying to play against. If an enemy is inside your second skill's field, your first skill's cooldown gets reset. This lets you pull off a quick 1-2-1 combo to knock up the same enemy twice, but his ultimate is his key initiation tool. Lian Po leaps into the air, bouncing on the ground 3 times. The first 2 bounces deal damage in a slow, but the third bounce launches enemies into the air for a full second. As a roamer, your job is to provide vision and information for your team. Don't be afraid to dive under turrets. He's designed to soak up that damage for your team. Just make sure you always engage when your teammates are close enough to follow up. And here's why a hero like Lian Po is so good right now. With his aggressive playstyle, the system will reward you with a high rating for your effort and successful initiation. This means even if you lose a match because of your shitty teammates, you might still be able to get an SSS rating and gain a star instead of losing one. I actually got an SSS rating and gained a star in a match I lost, just like this, because the new ranking system always rewards roamers generously. So, if you want a solid initiator tank with hard crowd control, this hero is for you. Here's the build I recommend for him. At number 10, we have the lightning-fast assassin Han Xin. He's a highly mobile jungler who excels at clearing his camps quickly and ganking lanes with exceptional speed and burst damage. Unlike many other junglers, Han Xin has 3 different mobility skills, making him almost impossible to catch when played well. His whole kit is designed for a hit-and-run playstyle. Let's start with his passive. Every 4th basic attack knocks up the enemy for half a second and gives him a burst of attack speed. You should always try to stack this passive before a fight to maximize your damage and get that instant crowd control. His first skill is a double dash that you can use rapidly. The first dash on a target knocks them up, making it ideal for initiating ganks or escaping over walls. His second skill is a backward dash that enhances his next basic attack. You'll use this to start your combos or reposition during fights, especially when you time it with his passive knockup. When you use his ultimate, Han Xin swings his spear 4 times, becoming completely immune to crowd control during the animation, with the final swing launching enemies into the air. On top of that, he gets 30% damage reduction. You should be using this to dodge crucial enemy CC or to secure kills when you know you can't be bursted down. Han Xin's mobility is his greatest asset. You should be using his dashes to constantly gank lanes, steal the enemy's jungle camps, and escape dangerous situations. This allows you to outfarm the enemy jungler and maintain pressure all over the map. You can even focus on split pushing, similar to how Li Xin is played, using your mobility to take towers and force the enemy team to respond. Now, Han Xin is not a tank. You need to avoid prolonged fights and focus on a hit-and-run style. Always be aware of your surroundings to avoid getting caught out by enemy CC. And another huge reason I've put Han Xin on this list right now is because of an upcoming adjustment to his skills. Currently, on the Chinese server, the delay on his skill has been removed, which makes him feel incredibly smooth to play. We might see this buff added to the global server soon, so now is the perfect time to master him and get a hang of his skills. Here's a build I recommend for him. Coming in at number 9, we have the master of Weiqi, Yi Xing. He is a powerful control mage who absolutely excels in the mid lane and completely dominates team fights with his ability to limit enemy movement while dealing a surprising amount of burst damage. Let's break down his kit, which is all themed around Weiqi stones. His passive allows his basic attacks to deal magic damage, and every 4 skill hits on the same enemy generates a Weiqi stone for extra damage. But here's the best part. If he's about to take fatal damage, he gets a brief moment of immunity and increased movement speed, basically a built-in destiny item. This is a lifesaver that makes him incredibly difficult to burst down. His first skill is all about setup. He places a Weiqi stone at a target location, which deals damage and grants vision. You should be using this constantly for scouting bushes, poking enemies, and setting up your combos. The vision it provides is amazing for map control. His second skill is his main crowd control tool. He creates a Weiqi formation in an area that pulls enemies towards the center, dealing damage. This is your key skill for initiating fights, disrupting the enemy team, and setting up kills for your allies. Finally, let's talk about his ultimate, because this is an absolute game changer. Yi Xing draws a massive Weiqi board on the battlefield that launches enemies into the air. But here's the critical part. Enemies are then trapped inside the board and cannot leave for a full 4 seconds, while Yi Xing himself gains a speed boost. This is one of the most powerful teamfight abilities in the game, capable of immobilizing multiple enemies and allowing your team to completely wipe them out. So, putting it all together, Yi Xing is a utility-oriented mage who lives for teamfights and heavily relies on his teammates. He's not a solo carry assassin. Instead, your job is to set up the perfect engagement for your team with your ultimate and control the battlefield with your skills. If you want a team fight-focused mage who has the potential to win a game with one perfect ultimate, you should definitely give Yi Xing a try. Here's a build for him I recommend. Alright, coming in hot at number 8, we have the Nivenian mercenary, Byron. He's been a reliable pick for a couple of seasons now, but the recent adjustments have made him incredibly strong. If you're looking for a beginner-friendly hero for the Clash lane who has insane sustain and damage, Byron might be the best choice for you. He is very easy to use and can dominate his lane right from the start of the match. His entire kit revolves around his passive, which grants him 3 stacks of marks that enhance all of his skills. His first skill deals high damage and has a crazy amount of healing. You can literally use it on minions or enemies to sustain in your lane forever. His second skill is a dash that enhances his next basic attack, which normally just slows but will knock up the target when it's enhanced. This is your surprise engage tool, perfect for catching enemies off guard. His ultimate slows nearby enemies and grants him a big chunk of shield, which gets even bigger when you use the enhanced version. Byron is a lane bully right from the start of the game, and his sustain is just on another level. With high healing, crowd control, and a massive shield, he can easily dominate his lane without any worries. And here's the best part. Thanks to previous adjustments, Byron can now build semi-tank and still deal high damage while being extremely hard to kill. His strength now scales with tanky items, so you can literally build tanky and still dish out tons of damage and sustain. His skill cooldowns are really low, so you can basically spam them over and over again. Now, the most important tip for playing Byron: always try to engage with 2 or 3 stacks of your passive ready to go. Without those marks, his skills just don't hit that hard. But it's really easy to gain those stacks. Just use your basic attacks or hit minions with skills to fill up the bar. So if you want a fighter who has insane sustain and can dominate the lane right from the start, you should definitely be picking Byron. Here's the build I recommend for him. Moving on to number 7, we have the Monk Warrior, Dharma. He has become a super solid pick recently because of his high sustain and game-changing setup potential. He can easily catch enemies off guard and stun multiple people with his skill combos. Let's break down his kit. His passive is what makes him so durable. Whenever he uses a skill, he gains bonus hybrid defense and his next basic attack is enhanced. This boosts both his survivability and his damage at the same time. His first skill is a forward dash that knocks up enemies, and it holds up to 2 charges, so you can use it to chase or to escape. His second skill is where his main damage comes from. He unleashes a flurry of rapid punches for 4 seconds, and while it's dealing damage, it's also healing him. And here's the key. You can still use your other skills while this is active, allowing you to maximize your damage output. And finally, let's talk about his ultimate, because this is his game-changing ability. This skill deals damage and knocks enemies back, but if you manage to knock them against a wall or any terrain, they get stunned for a full second. Once you stun someone, your first skill becomes enhanced, turning into a massive burst of damage. This skill has the potential to take out the enemy's core carry if used correctly. You can pull off multi-man stuns and completely change the tide of a battle, so always make sure you knock them against a wall. The reason he's so scary is that once you land a perfect setup with Dharma, it's pretty much over for the enemy team. So playing Dharma is all about getting onto the enemy backline and catching their core targets. You have to master your positioning and timing, and don't be afraid to use Flash combined with your ultimate to catch enemies off guard. He's a bit difficult to master, but once you get a hang of landing those wall stuns, he becomes an absolutely unstoppable force. If you want a fighter with good sustain and some of the craziest setup potential in the game, this is the hero for you. Here's the build I recommend for him. Moving on to number 6, we have Gan and Mo. Long-range, high-burst damage. That's what this hero does, and he does it better than almost anyone. Gan and Mo's key strength is his ability to deal insane magic damage from a screen away, and just constantly spam his skills. Let's start with his passive. When his swords hit an enemy, they get marked, and his next ability on that target will deal massive bonus magic damage. To keep him from completely melting tanks, subsequent damage on already marked enemies is reduced by half. Also, don't sleep on his close-range basic attacks. They really hurt, so you can surprise enemies who get too close. His first skill is his only defensive tool. It lets him retreat backward while knocking back enemies in front of him. Also, this skill has a passive where every kill and assist gives you a permanent stack of magic damage, up to 20 times. So, the more you participate in fights, the harder you hit. Now for his main damage, his second and third skills. Think of it like this. He has 2 types of swords he can throw. A short-range one with his second skill and a long-range one with his third skill. But they both pull from the same usage pool. Once you unlock your ultimate, you can hold up to 3 swords at a time. The cooldowns are incredibly low, so you can spam them constantly. Your main goal is to poke enemies with these blades, but you have to be precise. The skill hitbox is pretty narrow. so you have to have perfect aim to land those shots. Finally, his ultimate is what ties it all together. When you activate it, it instantly gives you 2 sword stocks and enhances your next flying sword. It also increases your vision range by 15% and reduces the sword's cooldown if you hit a target. This is what lets you just spam your skills over and over again, making the enemy's life a living hell. You can easily target the enemy's core carry from a safe distance and one-shot them. The damage scaling on this hero is insane, but he does have weaknesses. He's a glass cannon with no dash or mobility skills, so you have to have perfect positioning and be very careful of your surroundings. If you don't have vision, use your long-range blades to check bushes. Also, he can burn through his mana very quickly, so you need to be careful not to overspam. Overall, if you want a high-burst mage that can one-shot enemies from another screen, Gan and Mo is the perfect choice. Here's a build for full burst damage, and if you want a safer, more spammable build, you can try this one. Okay, breaking into our top 5, we have the recently released hero, Fatih. Well, technically he's not a new hero, because they remodeled Cao Cao into Fatih and revamped his skills. Regardless, Fatih has taken over the Gorge, and people are quickly realizing just how strong he is. In the recent KWC tournament, he was the second most picked hero, and right now, he has the highest win rate of 56% out of all heroes in Ranked. This guy is extremely strong in the current meta. So, what makes him so good? Let's start with his passive. Whenever he uses a skill, his next basic attack is enhanced with increased range and attack speed, stacking up to 5 times. It also has a lifesteal effect, which gives him great sustain in lane. His first skill is his main mobility tool. It lets you dash forward 3 times in a row, with the third dash knocking up enemies. You'll be using this for roaming, chasing down targets, or escaping from tight situations. His second skill is his main poking tool. It deals damage, slows the enemy, and recovers some of his health. And the interesting thing about this skill is that hitting an enemy with a basic attack lowers its cooldown, allowing you to spam it even more often. But his ultimate is his key strength. When you activate it, he instantly removes all crowd control effects from himself and enhances his first and second skills for a full 10 seconds. This is what makes him so deadly. The rapid burst of enhanced basic attacks will delete any backline target in seconds. The main reason he's so dominant in this meta is because of how he uses this ultimate. He can dive onto the enemy backline easily with his first skill, lock onto a target, and from there, it's pretty much over for them. Combined with his rapid enhanced attacks, he can outsustain almost any hero as long as his ultimate is active. You can even build him as a semi-tank, and he'll still melt enemies like butter. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that he is heavily dependent on his ultimate. Without it, he's much less of a threat, so you have to make sure to target the enemy's core heroes to make a real impact. Overall, Fatih is just incredibly strong in the meta right now. It feels inevitable that he'll get nerfed soon, but I think he'll remain a strong pick thanks to his overall skill set. If you want to master a hero with high damage and insane sustain, Fatih is a perfect pick any day. Here's a build that I recommend for him. Moving on to number 4, we have Loong, Aoyin. His name was recently changed back to his original Chinese name, so get used to it. Anyway, Aoyin has been performing extremely well ever since his release and is still one of the best marksmen to this day. He's been on the ban list forever, but with the recent introduction of blind bans, a lot of players aren't prioritizing him anymore. This means he's now available in most of your games. The main key strength of Aoyin is his extremely high burst damage combined with an amazing escape ability. His passive lets him gain up to 3 marks when he uses his skills, and these marks enhance his elemental damage. Basically, you have to combo your skills to get the most out of each element. His first skill represents the fire element, and this is your primary damage dealer, dishing out huge physical and true damage. His second skill represents water, and it's your main tool for healing and sustain. And his third skill represents wind, which is for crowd control. It knocks back enemies and gives you a burst of movement speed. Lastly, his ultimate transforms him into a dragon, allowing him to fly into the sky for 4.5 seconds, during which he is completely untargetable. After landing, he enters his true dragon form for a short time, gaining extra attack speed and range. Now, this ultimate has a very long cooldown, and you should almost always use it defensively. This is your get-out-of-jail-free card, so you have to save it for escaping dangerous situations. Aoyin is a very squishy marksman, so if you mess up your positioning, this ultimate is what will save you. His real strength comes from landing those 3 stacks of his first skill, which can one-shot almost any squishy hero. The extremely high burst from this skill, combined with true damage, makes him absolutely terrifying in the late game. His skills have long cooldowns, so you have to use them wisely. Without them, he's pretty much useless. As a true late-game marksman, you should be focusing on farming safely in the early game to get your core items. But once you have some damage, you'll be one-shotting enemies without breaking a sweat. If you want to play a marksman who can transform into a dragon, you have no other choice but to pick Ao Yin. You shouldn't miss the chance to pick him whenever he's not banned. Here's a build I recommend for him. Breaking into our top 3, we have everyone's favorite mage assassin, Mai Shiranui. She has been dominating the meta for a long time now, and she's still incredibly strong and a highly contested pick. She has some of the highest mobility for a mid-lane hero and can burst down any squishy target with a single combo. Her insane mobility comes from her passive. Every 5 seconds, her next basic attack becomes enhanced, letting her dash forward and knock back enemies. On top of that, she gets an extra mini dash every time she uses a skill. This is what makes her so mobile and allows her to rotate around the map incredibly fast. Her first skill knocks up enemies and deals magic damage. You can use this to catch enemies off guard, and it works perfectly when you combine it with Flash for a surprise engage. Her second skill is her main damage tool. She throws her fan to deal magic damage and lower the enemy's defense. This skill has a very short cooldown, so you should be spamming it over and over again to poke and harass. The damage is surprisingly high, and it can even hit another target close by. You should always be using this skill to poke and to proc her passive so you can rotate faster. Her ultimate is an AoE dash that deals high burst damage. You'll be using this to finish off enemies, combining it with her other skills for a devastating combo. So, putting it all together, Mai Shiranui is a highly mobile assassin who can rotate all over the map and take down any mage or marksman with ease. Her passive makes rotating so easy that you should always be looking to gank and ambush the side lanes. Make sure to poke with her second skill over and over again to make the enemy's life miserable. She has the ability to out-rotate any other mage in the game, and her ganking potential is insanely high. When you're playing Mai Shiranui, you need to be very aggressive and constantly rotate from lane to lane to assert your dominance. Her overall skill set makes it easy to pressure enemies and keep them on the edge. That's the reason why she's currently the best mage this season, and that's definitely not a cap. So yeah, you should absolutely master this hero if you want to rank up. Here's her build in Arcana. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Arlie. Let me be clear. Arlie is the definition of a hero where your skill determines how good they are. She is the epitome of all marksmen in this game, and she is here to test your limits. And call me biased, but I think Arlie is basically the best marksman to this date, and her popularity is at an all-time high for a reason. In terms of skills, her entire kit is about dash and mobility. Her passive lets you stack maple marks on a target with your basic attacks and skills. Triggering 5 stacks deals a huge burst of extra damage. Your entire goal is to trigger this passive as much as possible to dish out maximum damage. Her first skill is a blink that lets you dash forward, and then use it again to instantly snap back to your original position. This is your main mobility tool, letting you get closer to deal damage and then quickly return to safety. You can use this to engage, disengage, or even just to trigger her enhanced basic attacks. But Arlie's second ability is arguably her most important skill. With perfect timing, it can completely cancel out any enemy projectile. This one skill opens up so many opportunities, allowing you to negate an enemy's deadliest ability and turn a fight completely on its head. It requires good timing, so you have to use it at the perfect moment. Her ultimate is another dash skill where she sends her umbrella in a direction. You can then tap the skill again to teleport to that location. It can also knock back enemies. You'll be using this skill for escaping or for a longer range engage, similar to her first skill. Her overall skill set makes her an extremely agile marksman with tons of mobility. What makes her so special is her ability to kite enemies, dashing in and out of fights to constantly proc her passive and deal quick bursts of damage. Her potential to dominate is extremely high, but the risks are at the same level. One thing you need to know is that Arlie has a short basic attack range compared to other marksmen, so you have to get closer to your target to deal damage. This can backfire horribly if you engage at the wrong time or get hit by CC. She is extremely vulnerable to crowd control, so you have to be very careful about your surroundings. Mastering Arlie is very difficult, but once you get a hang of her, you can become an absolutely unstoppable monster. No matter what the meta is, Arlie will always be a reliable pick. The only thing that can hold Arlie back is the player themselves, so try your best to master this hero. Here's a good build that I recommend for her. Before we move on to our #1 pick, I want to give a quick honorable mention to two incredible heroes, Jing and Luna. The main reason I'm mentioning these heroes separately is because of their difficulty level. They are both extremely good heroes that have the potential to carry a game single-handedly. But these aren't some basic heroes that you can just pick up and easily carry with. The skill required to control them is incredibly high, and the room for error is basically zero. It's the player that makes Jing and Luna powerful, so they're very much dependent on your individual skill. If you really want to test your limits as a player and master heroes with some of the highest skill ceilings in the game, then you should definitely try to master one of these two. Just one piece of advice. Please practice them in normal games first to get a solid hold of their skills before you take them into ranked. Now before we move on to our #1 pick, I want to give a quick shout out to Elitedias. If you're looking for a safe and authorized place to purchase tokens for ongoing events, then I highly recommend checking out Elitedias. They offer up to 30% savings on every token purchase, which is a great deal. Plus, it's fast, secure, and super reliable. For a hassle-free way to get your tokens, make sure to visit their website. The link is in the description and pinned comment below. And finally, taking the #1 spot on our list, we have the Soul Conductor himself, Augran. After many nerfs and adjustments, Augran is still incredibly strong in this meta. He has the highest ban rate of all heroes in the current rankings, which just shows you that players still have PTSD from his past glory. Augran's key strength comes from his insane level of sustain and his ability to execute low health targets. His passive auto-locks onto a nearby target, dealing continuous damage as long as they're in range. His first skill is his main mobility tool, and has multiple uses. It lets him easily pass through any terrain or walls, making it effortless to engage or disengage. But here's the crazy part. You can press the skill again to collect his weapon and enter Seer state, which lets him execute any target below 10% health. So think of it as a free built-in execute battle spell that finishes off any low HP target. Yeah, sounds very balanced indeed. His second skill is his main damage and sustain tool, as it deals damage, slows enemies, and recovers health from multiple targets. The recovery is based on his extra health, so building tanky items on him is an absolute must. And lastly, his ultimate, Conductor of Souls, is a big AoE skill that knocks back enemies and recovers a huge chunk of his health. But the scary part is when he hits enemies with this ultimate, he literally clones their spirits, and they fight beside him for 8 seconds. And on top of that, he immediately enters Seer state again. So you get that auto-execute ready to finish them off. So yeah, now you know why he's so terrifying. You should always be building tank items on him and try to get Blood Rage as soon as possible. This will give you the survivability you need to take advantage of his tanky stats. Now, Augran isn't super broken or overpowered like he used to be, and he is quite vulnerable to crowd control. If he gets interrupted, or you miss your ultimate, his sustain is pretty much gone. Overall, if you want a solid tank jungler with insane sustain and a built-in execute, this is your hero. Here's a build I recommend for him. And there you have it. The 15 strongest heroes you can pick to climb the ranks right now. Each of these heroes has the potential to carry games on their own and get you those high ratings very easily with the new system. So if you've been struggling in your rank, you should definitely give these heroes a try. And that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments if your favorite hero is in the list. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.